How's it going, everyone? Rosalind here. Today I've got even more fusions for you for RAIDOU Remastered. These are going to bridge the gap between the early and mid-game, and while being strong themselves, will also serve as setup for my mid-game fusions coming soon. One thing I need to note though, in this video I will be passing down Have Mind to a demon that already resists Mind. This was done because I made the mistake of getting the icons for Mind and Death mixed up in RAIDOU Remastered. If you've played a lot of SMT and Persona games, you'll know why this is an easy mistake to make. Luckily though, we still want to pass Have Mind down for use in future fusions, but I did want to make mention of it here because this will come up in the next fusion video as well. Anyways, on to the first demon for today's video, Leonin Seed. Leonin Seed is an excellent demon for bridging the gap between the early and mid-game in RAIDOU Remastered. As you can see, we pick up all of the Radi spells, Agiradi, Bufuradi, Zioradi, and Zanradi, giving her excellent elemental coverage. And then she also gets access to Diorama, which lets her serve as the group's healer as well. Finally, Rakukaja and Makakaja give her nice supporting buffs to increase the party's magic damage and physical defense for the entire fight. Now because I have her positioned as a healer, I opted not to take any of the elemental boost passive skills in favor of more defensive ones. As such, we take Resist Fire to remove her weakness to fire, Resist Force to give her another resistance passive because we can, Endure so that if she does take fatal damage she'll survive once per battle, Heal Boost to increase the healing output of Diorama, Magic Chakra helps with increased healing output while having the side benefit of also increasing damage output, and finally Have Mind. I mentioned this in the intro of the video, but I initially gave this to her thinking she was neutral to Mind, when in reality her resistance under the skull icon is to Mind. Death is actually the purple icon to the left of the skull icon. As such, Have Mind doesn't actually do anything for Leonin Seed. That being said, we still want to pass it down to her for future fusions. You'll just want to make use of the Change Passive Skills feature after fusing her to put something else in Have Mind's place. Now that the build explanation is out of the way, let's move on to fusing Leonin Seed. So as per usual, you're going to want to prepare a few demons in advance. First is a Mermaid at max loyalty, as this is where we're going to be picking up Heal Boost. Next you'll want to use Tom Lin, and specifically we'll be using the same Tom Lin from my previous video. I'll leave a link to it in the video description. From this Tom Lin, we're going to be grabbing Bufuradi and Zanradi, as well as Endure, Have Mind, and Resist Fire. Next you'll want a Poltergeist at max loyalty so that it learns Resist Force, and a Pixie that is leveled up enough to learn Makakaja. You'll also want this Pixie to be at max loyalty so that she knows Magic Chakra. So that's it for the prep, now on to the fusion. For step 1, we're going to be fusing Mermaid with Tom Lin in order to make an Enku. For combat skills, make sure to select Bufuradi and Zanradi, everything else is up to you. When selecting your passive skills, we want to pass down Endure, Have Mind, Heal Boost, and Resist Fire. Once fused, we do need to level this Enku up once so that it learns Agiradi. And when that is done, the next step is to fuse Enku with Poltergeist in order to make it Tsuchigumo. Be sure to pass down Agiradi, Bufuradi, and Zanradi when selecting combat skills. And then for passive skills, you'll want to select Endure, Have Mind, Heal Boost, Resist Fire, and Resist Force. Once fused, we do need to level up this Tsuchigumo as well, and we need to do it twice so that it learns Zioradi. After which we can move on to step 3, which is to fuse the Tsuchigumo with Pixie in order to make a Turdock. Make sure to pass down Agiradi, Bufuradi, Zioradi, Zanradi, and Makakaja for combat skills. And then for passive skills, you'll once again want to select Endure, Have Mind, Heal Boost, Resist Fire, Resist Force, and now also Magic Chakra. Next, you'll want to head over to the demon chart in order to pull out Enku, because the last step is to fuse the Turdock we just made with Enku in order to make a Leonin Seed. Pass down Agirati, Bufurati, Ziorati, Zanrati, and Makakaja for combat skills. And Endure, Have Mind, Heal Boost, Resist Fire, Resist Force, and Magic Chakra for passive skills. Finally, to complete the build, level up Leonin Seed twice so that she learns both Diorama and Rakukaja. The next demon is Mezuki, and this build is more of an extra as it's super easy to do coming off of just fusing Leonin Seed, but you do need the DLC for this build, so if you don't have the DLC, feel free to skip to the third demon. As for Mezuki, he is basically another healer that also happens to be super tanky, with his only weakness being the death element, which we sadly can't do anything about this early on. The build will give him the same elemental coverage as Leonin Seed, but we'll be picking up Recarm and Media in place of Makakaja and Rakukaja. Now, Berserker is actually a really annoying skill as it has a very high chance of applying Rage to the target, causing them to deal 1.5 times damage but take 2 times damage. We can't do it through fusion, but I recommend swapping Berserker for something like Combo using skill books later on. For passive skills, we take Endure, Have Mind, Heal Boost, and Magic Chakra. I've also taken Strength Chakra as well. This comes from Tsuchigumo at max loyalty. We'll be using Tsuchigumo to fuse Mezuki, so if you want Strength Chakra, just make sure to max its loyalty first. And speaking of Tsuchigumo, you'll want to be sure to pull him out of the Devil chart, because we'll be fusing him with the Leonin Seed we just made in order to fuse Mezuki. Be sure to pass down Agirati, Bufurati, Ziorati, Zanrati, and Diorama when selecting combat skills. When selecting passive skills, take Endure, Have Mind, Heal Boost, and Magic Chakra. And if you've maxed out Tsuchigumo's loyalty for Strength Chakra, then you can take that as well. As for the last slot, pick whatever you want as it's a free slot. Finally, to finish Mezuki, you're going to want to level him up twice so that he learns both Media and Recarm. For the last demon we're going to be fusing in this video, we are going to be making Sylph. And looking just at the combat skills, she does seem very similar to the Leonin Seed we already made, picking up all of the Radi skills, Diorama, Rakukaja, and Makakaja, with the only difference being that with Sylph we're going to be grabbing Mamudo. However, unlike with Leonin Seed, I wanted Sylph to be more of a pure damage dealer, which is reflected in her passive skills. Resist Ice and Resist Elect remove Sylph's weaknesses to those elements, and then the last 4 skill slots are filled with each of the elemental boosts. The idea here being that you use Sylph in conjunction with one of the other 2 demons we've already fused, giving you 2 demons with excellent elemental coverage, one that leans more towards support and the other who leans more towards offense. Now with that all out the way, let's move on to the demons you're going to want to prep to fuse Sylph. So to start with, you're going to want the Leonin Seed that we already fused, as this is where we'll be grabbing Bufurati, Ziorati, Diorama, Makakaja, and Rakukaja. Next, you're going to want a Preda. Level and loyalty don't matter for this one. You're then going to want a Raiju, and for Raiju, you do want it to be max loyalty in order to get Resist Elec. You're going to want an Aquans. We fused one of these in the last video, but it doesn't necessarily need to be that specific one for our purposes today. However, you will want the Lilim that we fused in the last video, as this is where we're going to be picking up the elemental boosts and resist ice. And finally, you're going to want a Tom Lin. I'm using the one that we previously fused, but for our purposes today, it doesn't matter. Moving on to step 1, we're going to be fusing Raiju with Preda in order to make a Mokoi. The combat skills for this fusion don't matter, so pick whatever you want. Just make sure that when you are selecting your passive skills that you select to pass down Resist Elec. Next, we want to fuse the Mokoi we just made with Aquans in order to make an Inugami. Again, combat skills here don't matter, so pick whatever you want. And then for passive skills, be sure to select Resist Elec. Once fused, you do want to level up this Inugami twice in order to learn Mamudo. After that's done, we'll be fusing Inugami with Lilim in order to make a Flammus. Here we are only concerned with passing down Mamudo for combat skills, so make sure that you do that, but everything else is up to you. And then for passive skills, you'll want to select Fire Boost, Ice Boost, Elec Boost, Force Boost, Resist Ice, and Resist Elec. Next, we will be fusing Leonin Seed with Tom Lin in order to make an Eros. And for combat skills, you'll want to pass down Bufarati, Ziorati, Diorama, Makakaja, and Rakukaja. For passive skills, you can just pick whatever you want as we're getting what we need elsewhere. Finally, you're going to fuse the Eros and the Flammus we just made in order to make a Sylph. For combat skills, you'll want to pass down Bufarati, Ziorati, Mamudo, Diorama, Makakaja, and Rakukaja. And then for passive skills, you'll want Fire Boost, Ice Boost, Elec Boost, Force Boost, Resist Ice, and Resist Elec. And then finally, to complete the build, you'll want to level Sylph one time so that she learns Agirati. And that will do it for this video showcasing 3 very powerful demon builds that will bridge the gap between the early and mid-game and RAIDOU Remastered. If you found this video helpful and informative, please be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you'd like to support the channel further and get yourself some awesome merch in the process, head over to figgies.com where you can purchase collectible magnet figures from a bunch of your favorite video game and anime series, including Atlas series such as Metaphor and Persona 5. These are honestly pretty darn cool. You get a retro-style magnet figure, a reversible metal background, and then both a stand and magnet sticker for display. New figures are released in batches all the time. For example, Metaphor's Wave 1 includes the MC, Gallica, Stroll, Hulkenberg, and Heizame, and Persona 5's Wave 1 will include Joker, On, and Morgana. If these seem like something you'd want to pick up, then be sure to use my code RosalindFiggies at checkout for 5% off any purchase of $50 or more. And of course, if you have any questions about this video, RAIDOU Remastered, or any other game that I cover, you can always hit me up over on Twitch at twitch.tv/RosalindGaming, or my Discord server, both of which you can find links to in the video description below. Until next time, take care.